my controversial and hot takes on fitness and nutrition. Let's discuss them. Hello and welcome to Amanda Widener Wellness. My name's Amanda. I'm so excited to have you here. On this channel, I talk about all things weight loss, weight management, tools like GLP-1s, fitness, nutrition, and everything in between. Today, we're going to talk about my controversial takes on fitness and nutrition. I have a whole list for you, but before I get into that, I do have a disclaimer. I am not a doctor or a healthcare provider. And while I am a personal trainer and group fitness instructor, I am not your personal trainer or group fitness instructor, so please speak with your doctor and wellness team before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or medication regimen. Everything on this channel is based purely on my opinions and experiences. Okay, I have a whole list for you of some topics that involve fitness and nutrition that some might think are controversial, but in my opinion, they just make sense, and that's what's helped me lose 104 pounds and counting over the past year. And these are things I stand by as I continue on in my journey. Again, this is not medical or nutrition advice, but you can take what you like and leave the rest. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments, but let's keep it really civil because, I've said it before, please don't yuck my yum. We all have different tastes and preferences, and that's okay. It's what makes the world interesting. All right, so number one on my controversial takes on fitness and nutrition, food is not moral. It can't be good or bad. All food is fine in moderation. This is something I stand by. It's okay to have that cookie. It's okay to have a lemonade. It's okay to have a piece of cake on your birthday or to indulge at your Christmas dinner. It's absolutely okay to do these things because food is not bad. You're not going to look at a plate of food. Let's say you've got chicken, you've got rice, you have a piece of garlic bread, and then you've got like green beans and some potatoes. Looking at that plate of food, you can't look and say good, good, bad, bad, bad. Like that's not how it works because food is not moral. It has no other value other than to nourish our bodies. Food does have nutritional, scientific formulas that break down within our body that give us different benefits. So by focusing on things like protein and then on things like fiber, we're able to hit nutritional goals so that we can achieve our overall fitness and wellness goals. But that doesn't make one food better or worse than the other. It just means that we need to be a little bit more intentional with the way we consume them. So everything is okay in moderation. I kind of live by the 80-20 or the 90-10 rule. The last year has been a little bit more 90-10, but as I get closer to my maintenance goal, I'm sometimes enjoying more of an 80-20 lifestyle, which means 80 or 90% of the time, I'm really careful about what I'm consuming. And then I give myself a little freedom in that extra 10 or 20%. So that actually applies to me on a weekly and a daily basis. So each day I do have a little treat at the end of the day. I have a really great high protein focused breakfast, and then my lunch is a little bit more full. Again, I focus on protein and fiber because I have fiber goals to hit. And then I add a little bit of maybe a fun food afterwards. I'll have some Jell-O or I'll have some Greek yogurt with some chocolate chips tossed in there. And then I have a snack in the afternoon that is usually both protein and fiber focused. And then I have my dinner, which is protein and fiber focused. And sometimes I throw some extra carbs in there because I do work out and I like to make sure that I have enough energy for my workouts the following day. And then at the end of the night, I have a sweet tooth. And every day I have a little something to curb that sweet tooth, whether it's a few chocolate kisses, or maybe it's some chocolate pudding with some Cool Whip on top, or maybe it's some Greek yogurt with some PB2 added in and a few Lily's chocolate chips, something that allows me to kind of feel like I'm enjoying my food in moderation. All of those things I just mentioned have protein in them or some other benefit, but the biggest one is that they're helping me feel like I've indulged in something that day, and that's where I'm getting my balanced diet. In the overall scheme of things, when I get to certain times of the year, like right now it's the holidays, I'm not depriving myself of enjoying the meals or the treats, but I am eating them in moderation. So instead of eating a whole plate of cookies like I might have done a couple years ago, I allow myself to have one cookie or maybe two, really savor and enjoy them, and then I move on to my next meal. So I'm not saying that a cookie is bad, I'm just saying I need to have it in moderation. I also enjoy processed foods in my regular diet. So let's talk about that. A lot of people say, oh, processed foods are bad. You shouldn't have them. And if that's how you feel, that's absolutely okay by you. But for me and my controversial take, processed foods are fine. A lot of foods we don't really think about that we eat on a daily basis are actually considered processed. Foods like yogurt, Greek yogurt, protein shakes, pudding mix, granola, string cheese, PB2 and nut butters, marinara sauce, canned beans, oats, even popcorn are considered processed foods. They're all processed in some way to get them packaged and out to grocery stores for us to go and purchase and consume. Now, some people might consider all of those processed foods healthy foods. And it's true, they do have a lot of nutritional benefits. They allow us to add flavor to our diet as well as volume so that we feel full and satisfied. And so I do not have a problem with those processed foods. I also don't have a problem with fun processed foods. So things like monk fruit sweetener, I put that in my coffee most days unless I'm making a proffee because my protein shake has sweetener in it and I don't need the extra sweetness. But if I'm having just a regular black coffee, I put a packet of monk fruit sweetener in there because I'm okay with that processed item. I also use sugar-free pudding mix and Cool Whip and store-bought chocolate chips. And I eat them all in moderation. I'm not overindulging them, but they are processed and they're a part of my diet and my nutrition plan. And that's how I've reached my goals so far and how I continue going forward, feeling really successful and satisfied. And that's my hot take on food being good or bad or being processed or not. My biggest takeaway is that I try to focus on whole nutritious foods like vegetables, fruits, and meat like chicken or turkey or beef. And then I add the other foods around that to fill my plate. So I am focusing on those unprocessed items, but I definitely add processed items. I mean, even seasoning is processed for the most part these days. And that's what adds into the flavor and variety in my diet. All right, number 2, I have an exercise one. Exercise, here's my hot take. There is such thing as too much of a good thing. It is absolutely possible to over-exercise. And a lot of times when we're getting started in a weight loss or weight management plan, we jump into it. And a lot of times we end up injured because of that. So let's talk about what the recommendations are for exercise so we can have an idea of what our goal should be, not where we start. Where we start with exercise should be meeting us where we are that day. If that means that you are walking around the block and that's all you can handle, that's where you are, and your goal is to get to where these recommendations I'm about to talk about are. If you're already a very active person, take these recommendations into consideration and try thinking about how you can adjust your daily movement goals so that you can still hit these recommendations without going past them too far and risking injury or overtraining. So the American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. So something that gets your heart rate up, or 75 minutes of high intensity vigorous aerobic activity, or some combination of the two throughout the week. Okay, so 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of higher vigorous aerobic activity. Also, you're going to add moderate to high intensity muscle strengthening activity, such as resistance or weight training, at least 2 days per week. Okay, so you're going to get your cardio and you're going to get your strength training. And then you're going to spend less time sitting. So even light activity, like getting up and walking to the printer at work, or every hour setting a timer on your phone just to stand up and even take a phone call at your desk, or go for a quick walk after each meal. And then you want to increase the amount and intensity gradually over time. That is what the American Heart Association recommends, and I agree with it. And the reason for that is that we all need time to allow our body to rest. So while it's important to get our heart rates up and making sure that we are strength training in some way, whether it's with resistance or weights, we need to allow our muscles and our body time to recover from those activities. We don't want our recovery days to be sedentary. We still want them to be active, but they're not going to be as active as one of our workout days. So for example, I go for a walk every single day. I keep it at about the same pace because that's my natural pace. At this point, when I first started, I was going a lot slower. But on my rest days, I still go for my walk, but I'm not going to the gym and doing a cardio dance class. And I'm usually not going and lifting on those days either. And that's what works well for me to keep it really balanced. So what I do is I go into the gym about 4 days a week for a cardio dance class, which really gets my heart rate pumping. It uses a lot of body weight movements. And then I also go into the weight room 3 to 4 days a week, usually more like 3, just to get some of that resistance training in, and I'm hitting these guidelines. And then I allow my body to rest during active movement days. So on those days when I'm not going to the gym, I'm still going for a walk, or maybe I'll do some yoga at home, or I'm out in the yard doing some gardening in the warmer months. This time of the year, I do a lot of work around the house, even just wrapping all of my presents. Sometimes that can be a workout with the lifting and the moving and all of those things. So I'm still active. I'm not just sitting on my couch, but I am allowing my muscles and my body time to recover. And that's really important. Also, you want to keep an eye out for risks of overtraining, especially if you're just increasing your movement because of a new goal that you have, or if you're like, oh man, I'm feeling really good, I'm going to start just crushing this, which a lot of us do at the top of a new year. So you want to look for signs of overtraining, and the Cleveland Clinic also states that these signs of overtraining may include a profound feeling of fatigue. So if you're feeling really tired, you just can't keep your eyes open, it may be because you're working your body too hard. Also energy loss. If you're in the gym and you start working out and you're hitting a wall and you just cannot push past it, and that's happening every single time you exercise, you may be overtraining. Energy loss can also happen in your regular daily life. If you're doing a normal, non-sedentary activity and you feel like you just have no energy out of nowhere and that's unusual for you, that may be a sign of overtraining. Chronic colds, infections, and other illnesses can also be a sign of overtraining. This is actually a big one for me. If I have a time period where we're doing a lot of extra workouts, so for example, we might have some charity events going on, and then I do trainings where I train people to become an instructor for the dance brand that I work for, and maybe I'm working extra hard with new clients, I will actually get sick. And that's when I know, okay, it's time to pull back. I might need to get a sub. I need to allow myself time to recover because I'm pushing my body too far. So keep an eye on that. It's especially hard to kind of tell the difference this time of the year. We're in cold and flu season. But if it's unusual for you to get a cold and then another cold and then another cold or some other type of infection or illness, keep an eye out on how hard and intensely you're working. It may be that you are overtraining and you need to dial it back. Insomnia is also another sign of overtraining. So if you're out of nowhere suffering from insomnia, but you've recently increased your intensity or number of workouts, it might be time to dial that back a little bit so that you can get sleep, because sleep is a huge part of weight loss, weight management, and overall wellness. We need 7 to 9 hours, depending on if we're male, female, and our age range, but that 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night is vitally important for our overall wellness. So if you're not sleeping because of insomnia and it might be tied to overtraining, consider dialing that training back, because sleep is even more important than how hard you're hitting it in the gym. Also, weight gain. If you get on the scale and you see that the number's going up when you feel like it should be going down because you're working really hard and you've got everything else dialed in, it might be time to dial back your workouts. If your body thinks that you're losing weight too quickly, it's going to fight you on losing it. Our biological goal is to keep us nice and full so that we can survive any condition. And if you're trying to burn that off too quickly through exercise, it can have the opposite reaction. So watch out on that scale if you're having weight gain and you've just increased your workouts intensely for a while. It wouldn't just be I just did it yesterday and now the scale's gone up. But if you've been increasing your workouts and the intensity a lot and then the scale keeps going up and won't come down, consider dialing it back because you may be overtraining. Stamina decline, just like energy loss, if you are noticing that you just can't walk as long as you used to, you can't run as long as you used to, you can't lift as long as you used to, you can't do your chores around the house the way that you used to, you may be overtraining. Your body is fighting that. It's fatigued, your muscles are fatigued, and it will not give you the stamina that you need to complete your daily tasks. If you are finding that this is happening to you, consider dialing back your exercise regimen. And then for women, if you have lost your period, your menstrual cycle, that is a big indicator that you're overtraining. Please consult with your doctor if you notice any of these things, but especially for women, if you lose your period, it's called amenorrhea, and that is something that you absolutely need to speak with your healthcare provider about, because that is a natural part of our bodies, and we want to make sure that our bodies are functioning correctly. And so you want to work with your physician to help you get that back and get back into a normal routine. When you are adding exercise or increasing exercise, start slowly, a little bit at a time. An extra half a mile, an extra 5 minutes, an extra couple reps. A few things here over time add up in the grand scheme of things. We don't need to hit everything all at once. If you pull back and think about it, a year is a long time. So if your goal is a year from now, I want to lose 100 pounds, which is what I did. I did not jump in and do it all at once. I started with very small changes, and as I felt that I had achieved one, I added on another goal. So as I started walking, my goal was walk 30 minutes. It didn't matter how fast or slow or how far I went, walk for 30 minutes. And that's what I did. I built up to it. Once I got to 30 minutes, I said I want to walk for an hour. So I worked up to getting to an hour. Then I said I wanted to walk a little further within that hour. I slowly did that. When I got into the weight room, I started with what weight do I think I can manage over time? I figured out how many reps I could do, feeling safe and successful. And then I slowly increased the weight. Then I slowly increased the number of reps. Then I would increase the weight and I'd increase the number of reps. And I went through that slowly. And over the course of the year, I definitely increased my stamina and my strength. And I had the results I was looking for because I didn't burn out trying to do it all at once and overtrain my body to the point of injury. All right, number 3. What is my controversial take? GLP-1s are not cheating or taking the easy way out. I know we've all heard this. A lot of people still say it, and it doesn't seem to matter how much research comes out about the benefits of these medications for people who need them, not just for diabetes management, but for weight management, sleep apnea. Those with autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's, like myself, are seeing amazing success with this. People who suffer with inflammation in their bodies, the second they take the medication, within hours of taking it, are seeing a reduction in inflammation and relief from pain within their bodies. There are all kinds of benefits to these medication in addition to the weight loss. And people still seem to say, if you take this medication, you're taking the easy way out. Or if you have bariatric surgery, you're taking the easy way out. There is nothing easy about these medications or bariatric surgery. First of all, for the people who are deciding to take these medications or have surgery, it's usually coming after they have tried every other method. They've dieted multiple times. They have tried other programs. They've tried other medications. They have tried going cold turkey. They've tried this, that, and the other, and none of it has worked. Or if it did work, it did not work long term. So they're actually taking a hard time coming to the point to make the decision to have to add a GLP-1 to their life or to have surgery. So there's absolutely nothing easy about that decision. On top of that, once you start taking the medication, it doesn't just magically melt all the fat off of your body. You still have to do the work. Now, some patients who take GLP-1s are blessed, in my opinion, with the ability to lose some of their appetite early on. That was not my experience. My appetite was never super suppressed. I have slight suppression in the first couple of days, and then I have like what I consider a normal appetite, but I'm able to think more clearly about the food choices I make. Whereas others might struggle with being able to eat enough calories in a day because unfortunately the medication does really slow down their appetite. So we all have a slightly different reaction. Some might have no appetite and they really do struggle to eat. And so you might say their fat is melting away or they're taking the easy way out because they're just not eating. But the truth is those patients want to eat. They want to have a meal and they're struggling with getting enough calories in a day to eat that. So it's not easy. It's still struggling to make sure that they're able to maintain their body in a nutritious and healthy way. And they're having to work with their providers to do that in a way that doesn't make them feel sick. Other patients have side effects, and those side effects take a while to figure out how to manage them. If you're having one of the 4 major ones, nausea, vomiting, constipation, or diarrhea, figuring out how to manage that in your life can be a challenge, and those are not fun side effects. So if you talk to somebody and you tell them they're taking the easy way out and they're suffering with strong gastrointestinal side effects, they're probably going to look at you like you're crazy because there's nothing easy about feeling that way. And then they're usually having to figure out what works to help calm those symptoms down so that they can go about their life and still get the benefits of the medication while they try to achieve their health goals. And then you have other people like me who don't have a lot of side effects once they're on the medication, but I'm still also having to put in the hard work. Every time I sit down for a meal, I have to make sure that I'm eating the correct portion size. I have to make sure I don't overeat because I'm one of the people who still could overeat on this medication because I don't have as strong of an appetite suppression on the medication. And then I'm also having to make the smart food choices every single time I eat. The reason why I enjoy this medication is because it gives me the ability to make those choices, whereas before, the food noise controlled me so much that it didn't matter how much I wanted to make those medications or those decisions to make healthy choices, and I tried to, my mind would always overcome my willpower at some point, and I just couldn't fight it anymore. So it's not taking the easy way out. You're still having to put in all the work. You still have to make sure that you're watching your portions, your calories, you're tracking your protein and your fiber, that you're moving your body every single day, and that every day you wake up and continue to make those same choices. What these medications do is they aid you in making those decisions so that you can become healthier. And if they are helping even one person, in my opinion, they are worth having out there. They are not for everybody. But for the people who need them and want them, they should absolutely have access to them, and they should not be made to feel guilty or less than because they are adding this tool in order to get healthy, in order to, fight off the food noise in their head or other medical issues and risks that they have. I think that this is something that the media spun early in the days of it becoming a little bit more public a few years ago, and some people are just really hanging on to that. And I know we have a strong community of GLP-1 users and supporters who are trying to push that narrative into a more medical viewpoint, because obesity is a chronic and reoccurring disease, and that is categorized through multiple scientific organizations. I think the WHO just recognized it, obesity, as a disease. If I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong. Correct me if I am in the comments. But if we're going to treat a chronic disease, why is taking medication to help you treat that any different than any other chronic disease? Why is it okay to take a medication for diabetes but not for obesity? Why is it okay to take a medication for high blood pressure but not obesity? Why is it okay to take a medication for high cholesterol but not for weight loss or sleep apnea? Right? These are all things that can lead to poor and declining overall health. Obesity comes with a list of other risk factors that can have other health impacts on you over time. That was what motivated me to start taking the medication. I was looking at diabetes down the road. My blood pressure had gone up, my cholesterol had gone up, and I wasn't looking forward to that at such a young age. I knew I needed help. I needed another tool to get my health under control, and that's what I did. And that's why I take the medication, and that's why I don't believe it's cheating. All right, next controversial take. Food tracking can be beneficial. Now, I know food tracking can be kind of triggering to some people, especially if you've ever struggled with an ED, but I strongly believe if you are not someone who has struggled with that in the past, try tracking even if it's for a short time. Actively tracking your food can give you an idea of how much you're actually consuming, whether it's not enough or too much. And by measuring out how much you're using of certain foods, you get really used to seeing a serving size, a portion size, so that you can have a general idea, okay? So I like to track my meals most days. I use MyFitnessPal. I use the free version. I'm not sponsored by them. I just really like the app. It's great because I can see my calories. It tells me how many more I have for the day. I can add in my extra activity calorie burn if I want to eat more. It tracks my protein and my fiber and my overall nutrition, as well as shows me my macros. So I really like the app for that. I will measure out a portion size, maybe on a weekly basis, just to double check. It's nice to, I've been doing this for over a year now. When I first started, I measured out my portions every single time. I had out a food scale or a measuring cup or a tablespoon, so I knew exactly how much I was getting because I didn't know what portion sizes should be. And then I would track it. But now that I'm a year into this, I don't measure every single time or weigh every single time. I'm pretty good. I eat a lot of the same food, so I'm pretty good at looking at something and being like, that's about where it should be. But about once a week, I will measure or weigh again just to make sure I'm not getting too far past where it should be, especially with something like peanut butter, for example. Going from 1 tablespoon of peanut butter to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is a huge calorie difference, and it doesn't look that much different. So I really like to measure and track those things so that I know that I'm staying on the path to reaching my goals. So I do think there's a time and a place for food tracking. Especially when you're first starting out on this journey. If you're someone who has struggled with an issue in the past that makes food tracking really difficult, work with your healthcare team to come up with an alternative so that you can have an idea of what you're consuming and feel really confident in reaching your goals without triggering feelings from the past. All right, I also have another topic that might be triggering to some, and that is that getting on the scale regularly, even daily, can be beneficial. To some, not everybody. I know that there are some people who struggle with getting on the scale every day. And if that's you, that's totally fine. I know some people who don't want to get on the scale at all at home. They only get on it when they're in a doctor's office, and that works for them. And if that's what you need to do for yourself, please, by all means, continue doing that. But for some of us, getting on the scale weekly or even daily allows us to feel more in control of our journey. So I weigh almost daily. When I was first, I would say the first like 3/4 of my journey so far, I actually got on the scale daily. But what that did is it took the power of the scale away for me. For me, this was my experience. Getting on the scale daily and seeing the numbers go up and down from day to day, at first it was really upsetting. I was like, I just saw this number and now I'm seeing this number, and why is it going up? I ate so well yesterday. But then seeing that over the course of 9 months continue to go up and down and not be balanced every single day allowed that extra 0.8 pounds that I would weigh one day and then down an extra 1.5 pounds the next day and then back up the day after. It took all that power of the number away from me. And so getting on the scale daily allowed me to feel comfortable with, now if I get on the scale once a week and the scale hasn't moved a whole lot from the week before, I'm like, you know what, it's okay. I know that it will move at some point to the number I want to see. So it took away some of that power. It was really, really helpful for me on my journey for getting my head where I needed it to be. So I do think for some people, weighing daily or weekly can be really beneficial. But if that is not what makes you feel good and confident, by all means, please don't feel like you need to. Okay, what's my next controversial topic? It's okay to snack between meals. Now, I know. A lot of people say that it's not okay to snack between meals. Don't have a snack, it's just unnecessary calories. But for me, I need at least one snack a day. I eat breakfast, lunch, a snack, and dinner. We eat dinner very late in my household. I have kids that are in sports. Some nights I don't get home. I'll leave my house, I'll go get my kids from school at 2 o'clock and then 3 o'clock. We get home at like 4. We turn around and leave at 4:20, and I don't get home again until almost 10 o'clock at night. So I'm not eating dinner until very, very late because I don't like to eat out anymore. I want to eat at home, but I'm not going to eat dinner at 4:20 p.m. So I will eat a snack and then I will eat dinner very, very late. Is that the healthiest way to live? Probably not, but that's my lifestyle, and I've got to kind of roll with where my life is in the moment. I will constantly say with fitness and nutrition, meet yourself where you are that day, and where I am in my life right now, I have to meet myself there. And that's that sometimes I am gone from 4 until 10 p.m. So if I'm going to be eating really late, I need a snack. And on other days, I might get home at a more reasonable time, but I'm just hungry, and it's okay to feel hungry. Hunger is something that is natural and biological. We should feel hunger, especially if we've been extra busy or we ate a smaller meal earlier in the day, or sometimes we're just having a phase where we're hungrier than normal, and that's okay. What I do when I'm making my snacks is I still focus on protein first, then I add fiber, and then I might add a little bit of something fun in there. So for example, I might have some Greek yogurt, okay? Protein, delicious. Then I'm gonna add some fiber. I'll throw some fruit on there. And then I'm gonna add something fun. So maybe I'll put a little bit of protein granola. I really like it. Or some Lily's chocolate chips. Or maybe I'll put a little bit of pudding powder and Cool Whip in there. That's my fun food. It makes it feel like a treat, but it allows me to stay within my daily goals for calories, hitting my protein goals, hitting my fiber goals, feeling full and having that last so that I'm not snacking again later. But I definitely think that snacking is okay, as long as you do it with intention. All right, what's my next controversial topic? Not every workout has to be high intensity. So I'm a fitness trainer and a group fitness professional, and I often, especially from new exercisers, will hear that they feel like they need to hit the gym hard. They want to go take a HIIT class. They want to feel like they're dripping sweat. They want to feel sore, right? And that's not really what your goal should always be. While it's fun to have those workouts sometimes, your goal is to move your body. You don't have to be high intensity. You don't have to have your heart rate in its max zone in order to have an efficient workout and to allow your body to get the benefits it needs from exercise. And high impact is definitely not the option for many exercisers, especially new exercisers. High impact exercises can lead to injury. So it's okay to put a modification in there. So for example, if you haven't done jumping jacks in 20 years, please don't go out and start doing jumping jacks. Start doing other exercises with your trainer that are considered modifications. So maybe instead of jumping jacks, you're gonna do a star tap out with your foot. That will still get your heart rate up, your hands are going over your head, but you're taking out the impact of the jump, and allows your body time to adjust to moving again before you start putting in the impact of jumping on it. Okay, all you have to do is move to get a benefit from exercise. So go for a walk, go to the gym and take a moderate intensity class, or take a cardio dance class where you can kind of decide how intense you want it to be. So in dance, for example, if you squat lower or move higher or move bigger or jump higher, it's going to be a more intense workout. If you take the modifications, you move a little bit smaller, you don't squat as low, you don't jump, it's going to be slightly less intense. So maybe that's where your body is that day. As I've mentioned, meet your body where it is today so that you can meet your goals without injuring yourself or overtraining. I already said it. Another controversial topic is that you don't have to feel sore after a workout. Being sore can be an indicator that you did have a really great workout. Feeling a little bit of muscle soreness from time to time is something that those of us, especially those who lift weights, are accustomed to feeling, especially if you like hit extra reps or increase the weights, or maybe you changed up what exercises you do. So like every 12 weeks, I kind of change up how I'm targeting certain muscles. So for example, for 12 weeks, maybe I was doing a lat pull down with one specific grip. And then for the next 12 weeks, I'm going to change up the way that I grip it on the lat pull down bar, right? Still targeting the same muscles, but I'm changing it up a little bit, keeping my muscles guessing about what I'm going to do. So when I do that change up, I am going to feel a little sore, and I expect that. But do you need to feel sore after every single workout? No. When you first start, you probably will be sore for a little while. The things that you can do to help with muscle soreness are stay hydrated and move so that you don't get too stiff, and stretch when you're at home. Gentle stretching and mobility exercises, or even doing like some gentle yoga, can really help release those muscles and keep the blood flowing so that the soreness goes away sooner. But as you become more accustomed to the exercise movements and the way that your muscles are working, it is less common to feel sore after every single workout, and that is totally okay. In fact, if you are mobility training and you're doing things like foam rolling for like muscle release, or doing things like going into the sauna, or like the hot sauna, or the dry sauna, or the wet sauna, the steam room, that sort of thing, that can actually help reduce muscle soreness. I work out really hard. I work out to failure, meaning when I'm lifting weights, I go until I just can't get that last rep anymore. Usually when somebody works out that hard, they will have some soreness afterwards, but I have significantly reduced my soreness after most workouts by adding in foam rolling, mobility training, and going to the dry sauna after. So there are ways to avoid it. You don't have to feel sore after every single workout. I said what I said, and I stand by it. All right, what's my next controversial topic? And it's my last one. Now, I know this one might get me some flack in the comments, and that's okay. If you don't agree with me on any of these, take what you like, leave the rest. Please don't yuck my yum. But I am a drinker of these, and my topic is diet soda is fine. It's fine. If you enjoy diet soda, keep enjoying it. If you don't enjoy diet soda, you don't have to drink it. That's the great thing. You don't have to have it. But I do want to say science does back me up on saying that diet soda in moderation is totally fine if it's something that you enjoy. Do you have to drink it? No. If you don't like it, don't consume it. But diet soda may not be a healthy or nutrient-dense option, but it does have little to no calories. And so it can be a helpful option for someone who's looking for something other than water to consume. They just want a little change up to feel like they're not depriving themselves of some of the fun things in life, right? It's a really viable alternative to regular soda. Regular soda is full of sugar. Diet soda can result, if you were a regular soda drinker and you switch to drinking diet, it can result in weight loss just because there's less sugar and calories in a diet soda. But if you're not a regular soda drinker, one thing to just keep in mind is that normal soda has sugar. Diet soda contains sugar substitutes like aspartame, I can't ever pronounce this one right, the asulfame potassium, and then sucralose or stevia. So if you're sensitive to those things, you might want to avoid it. Or if you have concerns about those things, you can avoid it as well. But there is science that shows that there is little risk to drinking it in moderation. So it's a good alternative for satiety because it's carbonated. It can help you feel full. It can also bypass cravings for other sugary things like candy. For me, I used to be a diet soda-aholic. I drank so much of it years ago. Now I rarely have a diet soda. I like them when I go to the movies. Or sometimes if I'm out eating dinner, I'll have one, but it's usually at the movies. I like a diet soda with my popcorn, okay? And I'm okay with having that. That's very much in very little moderation, and I feel okay with that. If you want some proof, I'm going to link this in the comments below, but there was a scientific study that was posted on the National Library of Medicine, and it's called Association of Low and No-Calorie Sweetened Beverages as a Replacement for Sugar-Sweetened Beverages with Body Weight and Cardiometabolic Risk, a Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis. And in this study, it found that low and no-calorie sweetened beverages, like diet soda, were associated with small improvements in body weight, so there was some weight loss, without any evidence of harm to our bodies. So science says a little diet soda in moderation is fine, and I stand by it. So those are my hot takes, my controversial topics on fitness and nutrition. I'd love to hear you give me your thoughts on that in the comments below. And I thank you for joining me today. Once again, my name is Amanda. Thank you for checking out my channel. I hope that you will like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.